Hello, and welcome to Unity of Fredericksburg. My name is Chris, and I'm pleased to welcome all of you to the Unity of Fredericksburg weekly online gathering. At Unity of Fredericksburg, we are advancing the movement of spiritual awakening and transformation through unity, a positive path for spiritual living. We thank those of you watching on YouTube live or later and invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're able to attend live, we encourage you to join us in the Zoom community room for the full Sunday morning experience, including music, prayer, and connection. Our weekly newsletter includes the Sunday service link, and you can subscribe to receive that on our website at uofva.org. For everyone local to Central Virginia, Unity of Fredericksburg offers a variety of fun and enriching in-person gatherings every month. Subscribe to our weekly newsletter at uofva.org for all the details. And our message today is coming from our minister, Reverend Cheryl Fair. And now, here's Reverend Cheryl.
Thank you, Chris, and welcome, everyone. Welcome all of our friends in the Zoom room, everyone who's watching live on YouTube, and even if you're watching later on YouTube or Facebook or however it is you're watching, we appreciate you and your energy matters. And as I tend to say to our group, showing up is a spiritual practice. So thanks for being with us. Our broadcast date here today is Sunday, November 26th. This is the Sunday after Thanksgiving. So I hope everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Last week with our message, as we prepared for Thanksgiving, we were looking to nature as our inspiration, and our theme was gathering the good, kind of like a squirrel gathering nuts for winter. And we were given ourselves a task to kind of look at different aspects of our lives and recognize the good that is present there. A lot of times there are things that we just kind of take for granted or don't notice, or we're so busy thinking about what's not going well that we don't take the time to gather the good and notice what is going well. So we also want to use this as a way to prepare ourselves for this phase of the year where we have the shortest days and the longest nights. And as many of us are aware, the holidays can be challenging, particularly when it comes to grief, because there's no time limit on grief, and the holidays tend to bring things up that we need to look at and process. So having this list of good things is a good touchstone to have for the holiday season, so that if we get drawn into thoughts of grief and remorse, we can have a few reminders of what the good is that we recognize is present right now. So we talked about gathering the good. We also looked at trees and how trees naturally flow with ease through the change of the seasons. We talked about, rather than resisting this kind of change in the daylight and that kind of thing and grumbling about it, how about leaning into it and going with the flow like a tree? And how the trees kind of like just sort of, let go of things they don't need to do, all of those leaves, and just kind of get quiet for the winter. We talked about maybe making that time when the sun goes down kind of early in the day a mystical, magical time. Just light a candle, do something that makes it a special time of day instead of something that, makes us feel trapped or something. Kind of lean into the darkness and the rhythm of the seasons that reminds us, kind of like trees, to take a break, to quiet down for a while and rest. So today we're going to be looking at even more themes from nature. And my first example comes from bears. All right. So I'm going to begin with a short essay from a woman who is weighing the benefits of coming back in her next life as a bear. And here's what she has this to say. In this life, I'm a woman. In my next life, I'd like to come back as a bear. When you're a bear, you get to hibernate. You do nothing but sleep for 6 months. I could deal with that. Before you hibernate, you're supposed to eat yourself stupid. I could deal with that too. When you're a female bear, you give birth to your babies while you are sleeping, and they're about the size of a walnut. And when you wake up, they're already partially grown and cute and cuddly cubs. I could definitely deal with that. When you're a mama bear, or a daddy bear for that matter, everyone knows you mean business. You can swat anyone who bothers you, and I could deal with that. And when you're a bear, your mate expects you to wake up growling, have hairy legs, and a wonderfully plump body. Yep, in my next life, I'm going to be a bear. So that's my little giggle for this morning, looking to nature for our inspiration. And the author of that is correct, of course. A bear prepares for winter by gaining as much weight as possible. I looked this up a little bit, and a report from Yellowstone National Park says that an average grizzly bear gains about 3 pounds every day during autumn to prepare for their winter nap. Now, I'm not suggesting that as a part of our talk this morning, that we do that. I share that more as a cautionary tale on the gaining weight, because if you notice, when it starts getting colder, humans have that natural instinct also. So we have to observe ourselves. And particularly when we get into this season of holiday events, we can get into that mode like a bear gaining weight. So let's try not to do that. We'll just share that part. But I do want to look at the hibernation in winter that a bear does, sleeping the days away. Now, again, according to this report from Yellowstone National Park, actually bears do not sleep through the winter. What happens is their metabolic rate and their bodily functions just slow down, and just kind of holds them in sort of a suspended state, without causing any ailment or injury to the animal. And it's a pretty amazing process. Scientists have been studying this for years, and they're still trying to get a sense of it, because there could be so much potential if we could get to a point where we could actually find a way for humans to hibernate in that way. Think about how useful it could be for long distance space travel. It's also being studied with regards to keeping human organs in good shape for transplant, things like that. So lots of things to learn from this practice of hibernation. And even if you're not into bears, say, oh, bears are not my thing, there are other creatures that hibernate too. How about frogs? Frogs also hibernate. What they do is just burrow deep down into the mud and kind of hibernate until things warm up again. And many fish do the same. So if you don't like bears, maybe frogs or fish, whatever it is, what does hibernation have to teach us on a spiritual level? Well, when we look at the basics of hibernation, breathing slowly and deeply, setting aside all of our daily activities, quieting the mind. Does this sound familiar at all to you? Kind of sounds like meditation, doesn't it? So what if, when the sun goes down early this time of year, why not use it as a time to try a new meditation technique? Have you ever tried meditating in the evening? Why not give it a try? Rather than turning on various screens to entertain yourself, whether it's the TV, the computer, the tablet, the phone, well, how about you light a candle, as we've suggested before, and use your power of imagination. This is one of our divine powers. This is a power that in Unity we talk about is present in divine mind and therefore present with us. Use your power of imagination to think beyond the limits of your human space and your daily life and allow spirit to sort of lead the way to new opportunities. I've got a little reading here for you from a book called Divine Audacity. We have talked about that quite a few times here at Unity of Fredericksburg, particularly last year when we were doing a study of the book Divine Audacity. Its author is Reverend Linda Martella Whitsett. She's a very well-known author in Unity, and she will actually, here's a preview, be with us as our guest speaker on December the 31st. So I'm reading from her book, Divine Audacity, about the power of imagination. Imagination is our powerful capacity to picture what can be, and by holding that idea and developing it until we feel its effects while it is yet unmanifest, to live into that idea until it essentially becomes our reality. In a sense, imagination is our primary power because it is essential for the cultivation of all our magnificent spiritual capacities. So this time of year, when there are so many hours that are in the darkness and we spend more time indoors, what better time to really tap into our power of imagination and use that as a springboard. So rather than, I'm not suggesting that you take up hibernation, but how about use it as a springboard into meditation and use those extra hours in the dark to do some rich and spiritual exploration for yourself. All right. So we're going to move on from the hibernators and go back to the birds. Last week, our theme here today is called Feathering the Nest. And we're going to look at birds and a few ways that birds adapt to the change of the seasons. Now, feathering the nest refers to a practice of birds who gather, go through a phase of gathering lots of extra bits for their nest, including they, take discarded feathers from other birds and create extra cozy nests for the winter months. Now, feathering the nest, that might be something that you find yourself naturally doing, kind of cozying up your physical environment so that it's warm, cozy, secure, and maybe delightful, right? So you can look at this practice, feathering the nest, for yourself, is to surround yourself with things that you love. And of course, many of us will do this in the way of seasonal decorations, and some of us start even before Thanksgiving. We were talking before we started here today of decorating for Christmas early. Whatever it is that you like, just take time to make your indoor environment a special treat for yourself with candles, special lighting. It is no coincidence that all of the winter month spiritual traditions feature lighting as a part of it. Earlier in November, we made note of Diwali, which is the Hindu festival of light, which happens, at least for us, this time of year when it's getting colder. Soon will be the beginning of Hanukkah. And of course, they have the menorah, and all the primary lessons around Hanukkah have to do with the miracle of having light. And some people will honor the solstice. And the winter solstice, of course, often features a bonfire. So talk about some powerful light. And of course, central to the Christian biblical Christmas story is the Star of Bethlehem, is featured in the Gospel of Matthew in particular. And right after Christmas is Kwanzaa. And Kwanzaa also has a set of candles called the Kinara. 7-branched candle holder, and each one of the candles represents one of the principles of Kwanzaa. So however it is you celebrate, light up your space and your life with magic. Feather your nest for this time of year. All right, one other thing about birds. Now we know that many birds handle the shorter and colder days by migrating. They just fly away, right? Just gonna go where it's warm. And we know that there are people who have who are blessed with the prosperity to do it, who to migrate with the seasons, are called snowbirds, right? So what can we learn from the practice of migration? So last week we talked about gathering the good, and which is essentially kind of doing an inventory of your life and noting all the good things. And we did talk about when you're doing that, it's very likely that thoughts, ideas, things will come up of things that it's time for you to let go of, things that are ready to be released. So I suggested you kind of start developing a separate list for that. And that this week is a great time, now that you've had a little time to work with that, at this point in the process, take some time to reflect on those things that have shown up that maybe aren't serving your highest good anymore, and ask yourself, what do you need to fly away from? What do you need to let go? So this could be a situation that's kind of rife with conflict, where instead of digging in, maybe you need to take a breath and walk away. This could be a situation or a habit or a relationship that is no longer serving your highest good. Whatever it is, use the quiet time of this season to reflect and ask yourself those important questions. Often when we really need to let go or move on, we will have a real feeling of being stuck. I was able to visit with my son a week or so ago, and he's definitely feeling stuck. So anytime, as the parents, we can try to bring up, well, you could try this, you could try that, he immediately comes forth with a list of all the reasons why he can't. His car this, his money that, his so that feeling stuck can be a real sign to you that it's time for you to work on this process of reflecting and noticing all the good things. And rather than listing out for yourself all the reasons why you're stuck, use your power of imagination to spin some wonderful stories of what you really want. Spin stories of possibilities and allow yourself to do that freely, without immediately letting your brain get into questioning, doubting, listing out all the reasons why you can't. Just dream. Let your imagination take the lead for a while and fly like a bird migrating. And if your discernment tells you it's time for you to step back, step away, let go, then use this time to prepare yourself for that. So in essence, we're kind of preparing this. I see this time of year as sort of a long arc with different phases of activity, where we're kind of looking at all the good things in our life and preparing to let go of things we don't want anymore. And we'll do that on December the 31st, when at 4 p.m. in the afternoon, we'll meet in person and do our annual burning bowl. So this is all kind of preparation for that. You can keep working on those things through these weeks leading up to the end of the year. All right, one more bit of wisdom for the season from the birds. So some birds adapt to the colder weather by roosting in groups and using the warmth of community to retain heat and stay safe in the winter. So Coming together with others is a powerful way to support ourselves and to support each other this time of year. And it may take extra effort this time of year, right? So maybe you don't drive in the dark. So maybe you need to reach out and find a ride. Maybe you need to find other ways of connecting. We know that the benefits of coming together are so important. And that's why here at Unity of Fredericksburg, we have this time online on Sunday morning, but we regularly have times when we can get together and be face to face and gather together in warmth and community. So make that extra effort. Even if your brain shows up with all the reasons why it's hard, why there are reasons not to, it's worth the effort. So like birds roosting in communally, get together in community. All right. I hope you have enjoyed these lessons from nature. So I have one more thought for this season of short days and long nights, and that is see if you can spend some time in nature. Now, a lot of us, as soon as it gets cold, we just want to stay inside. But even a few minutes a day, just be outdoors, sit outdoors. Your body knows what to do, so it will naturally kind of start to acclimate to that. But be outdoors, breathe the air, notice what the plants and the animals are doing. Just give it a chance. Give yourself a chance to be the natural creature that you are on this earth. There's so much to learn from being that, from noticing what's going on, and not just using our technology to hide away from all of that. So I want to point out that Unity founder Myrtle Fillmore, she often cited her spiritual belief system as a young person when she was growing up, having to do with nature, being in nature. And a lot of people kind of experience their experience of the universe, or what they may call God or spirit. They find that in nature. So for Myrtle Fillmore, she was raised going to a Methodist church, but she actually had sort of the strength of character as a girl to refuse to become a member of her parents' church. She went, she did what her dad said, but her real sense of the divine, of church, she found out in nature. So here's something that she wrote about her childhood. Here's Myrtle Fillmore. I delighted in getting out in the garden or walking in the woods. I loved to touch a tree and felt it was truly intelligent. I received something very satisfying from my close contact with nature. I know now that I was feeling and responding to the omnipresent Spirit of God. The abundant life of God was pouring out to me from everywhere, and my hungry soul and body were drinking it and rejoicing to express it. So that's Myrtle Fillmore about getting in the flow of nature. So we've had 2 Sundays now talking about this. So I just want to remind you as I finish out, go with the flow of nature this time of year. Gather the good like a busy little squirrel. Feather your nest with all the goodies that you find. Reflect on situations that come to mind and ask, is it time to fly away? Honor the cycles of lightness and darkness and remind yourself to pause and go into the quiet. Create magical moments for yourself with light. And as we move into meditation here today, I remind you, use your divine power of imagination. I'm going to do another reading now for as we go into our meditation time from Divine Audacity by Reverend Linda Martello Whitsett. She has in each chapter, for each one of the 12 powers, as we call them, a meditation. So I'm going to start us off reading from that. Now, she starts by talking about where the power of imagination is located, which is kind of right in the center of our forehead, and its color, which is a light blue, like that of the sky. So here we go. I breathe into the center of my brain, between my ears and eyes. I flood my brain with light, the color of the midday cloudless sky, the palette of spiritual imagination. Every breath I take and every breath I release leaves me floating in the open sky of possibilities. Nothing can weigh me down. Nothing can inhibit the free expression of my divine imagination. Soaring in infinite space, all things are possible. Divine imagination is my spiritual name and true nature. I am a creator by divine design. I reach beyond assumptions and limitations, dreaming of magnificent possibilities. By the power of conception, I catch a marvelous idea of what I can be, what I can do, and what I can experience. I can tell that this idea is mine to express by its captivating appeal. I recognize in this idea the possibility of fulfillment that I have longed for. The marvelous idea I have grasped fleshes out as a vision and a purpose. Like a seed planted in the ground and watered, this idea is nurtured by my power of vision. I envision the fully formed blossom now, while the seed remains in the deep womb of possibilities. So we're going to take a pause right now. Focus on your breath and just allow that meditation to lead us into some time together in the stillness. And as we begin to bring our awareness back to the current moment, I will finish reading this meditation from Divine Audacity. I am the spiritual power of imagination, claiming my divine identity. I call forth from within me my rightful divine capacities, pouring them out in fulfillment of my purpose. I have eyes to see the good within me. I have eyes to see the good around me. I have eyes to see the good path ahead of me. Whatever seems impossible, by my power of imagination, I declare all things are possible. So here's our affirmation to close out this time together today. I like to put my hand on my heart and I'll read the affirmation for you and you can repeat it there at home. I joyfully shine the light of imagination and I am grateful. Let's do it again. I joyfully shine the light of imagination and I am grateful. One more time. I joyfully shine the light of imagination and I am grateful. So I am. That's it for me today. Thank you so much, folks. I'm going to hand it back to my friend Chris.
Thank you, Reverend Cheryl. What an inspiring message. And thanks to all of you for watching our weekly broadcast from Unity of Fredericksburg. Visit our website, uofva.org, to learn more about our mission of spiritual awakening and transformation, and support our ministry with your financial donation.